Hello, hello. Kelsey Komorowski here, founder of Como. And today I am joined by one of my students, Milad. We worked together over the past year and we were chatting, I guess it was a couple weeks ago now, and just kind of Milad was reflecting on his experience, learning how to learn and building skills. And he said a few things that I wish I had been recording because I was like, this will resonate with so many students and their parents. Anyway, so he agreed to come on and talk with us, calling in from his car. So Milad, thanks for being here.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
Appreciate it. So let's start with maybe tell us a bit about what was school like for you, like leading up to grade 11. So like grade 9, grade 10, what was school like?
So for school, for me, like especially like freshman year, it was hard for me just to like get in like the cycle of like having like the discipline like every day to do work. And I feel like 10th grade, I did like a better job of it, like in the beginning of the year. But then like second semester, I like kind of like fell off and got out of the same cycle. Like I was like very like disorganized, and it was hard for me to like manage like all like my classes and homeworks together. And I over like thought a lot of things, and it ended up to like not having a lot of success in school.
Okay, so not a lot of success, meaning was it mostly like grades were not where you wanted them to be or where you
It
thought they
wasn't like it wasn't bad, but like it wasn't like where I wanted it to be. Yeah.
Okay, got it. So let's talk a little bit about those challenges. Feeling disorganized, feeling, a bit scattered with homework and whatnot. Like, was there one
hmm
or two challenges in particular? Like, was it like there were classes that just felt really hard than others? Was it just keeping track of everything? Like, what specifically felt the hardest?
Uh, I think the like what you said about like what class like I felt like was the hardest for me. For me, junior year, my AS English class was like really difficult,
Mm.
and I felt like I was like doing like things like necessary for it. Like I would like do like the reading that she asked, and like I'll do the work, or like maybe turn it a day late. But like later on, like I found out like that's like not like the way to like excel, and not to like not overdo things, but like be sharp and like get it done consistently, like on time. And just like getting the habit of doing that led to me getting like better grades in like all my classes, like from then on.
Which we will get to in like 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you were, especially, I think you mentioned towards like the end of grade 10, second term, what, if anything, like what did you try? Like, was this kind of like, I just need to buckle down and do better? Did you get tutors? Like, was your mom or dad helping you? Like, what kinds of things did you try to kind of get over the problems, get over the challenges?
Like after 10th grade.
Like when you were kind of in the middle of like the struggles, what were you trying?
Um, so I think beginning of 10th grade, I had a tutor like once a week. But to be honest, like it wasn't like really like helping me. It was just like there, and it's just mainly like someone like holding like me like accountable. And when I would go to the tutoring, I would just get like one homework done or like two like homeworks done, but like it wouldn't really like benefit me like enough to the point like where I could like learn on my own and like become like independent and doing all my academic work.
Got it. So it sounds like it was kind of more perpetuating the status quo almost.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And then last but not least, because I have to ask, as far as how things were with your mom and dad when you were struggling in school, because that's something that so many families I talk to, there's two very different perspectives with what is going
hmm
on with the teen, you, versus what's going on with mom and dad. Was there any tension for you in that sense, or was that not an issue in your home?
Well, obviously, like both my parents like trying to like push me like be the best in school, and like obviously like myself, I knew it too. Like I wasn't like using like my like full potential, and because I would just get in like bad habits and end up like becoming like lazier in work. So my parents like they tried like helping, tried looking for like, or they kept like signing me up with like tutors or having like someone else like come and like teach me, but like none of that really like would work. And then like yeah.
And do you know, maybe it was the same thing what you just shared about like when you went to the tutors once a week or whatever, but was there between the different tutors that you saw or what your mom and dad, tried to help you with, did you know at the time, like, why isn't this working? Why isn't this helping? Or did it just seem like kind of a mystery or like a bit confusing? Like, why is this not helping me excel?
Uh, it just felt pretty like uniform and like routine, like in a sense that I would just go there like once a week, and I just mainly like thought of it as like just getting like work done rather than learning and like getting like in the habit, like building habits pretty much. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And when you were doing that, was the idea of building habits of, more effective learning, was that on your brain at all, or did that come later?
I feel like that it was like slightly on my mind, but it kind of like naturally came a little bit more, and then obviously later, yeah.
Okay, got it. You might not want to share this, and you don't have to if you don't want to, but what would you say was your worst? You mentioned like falling into bad habits, feeling a bit quote unquote lazy with work. I've heard some pretty bad habits. What do you think your worst habit was?
Um, I would just like come back from school one day, and I would have like a math assignment. It probably would only take me like 10 minutes to do. Like one math assignment, English reading, which like I didn't really like, and then like a Spanish assignment too. And I would just go home and kind of ignore it just so like I didn't have to deal with it. And that's literally like the worst thing I could have done because all I'm doing for myself is making it worse by not addressing it in the current moment. So yeah,
Yeah, and it doesn't go away, does it? It's
nah.
still there. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. Okay.
Mm.
Let's fast forward to grade 11. And I wasn't planning to ask this, but I actually don't know. How did because your mom and dad, or your mom reached out, or maybe, I know your dad reached out. How did you guys find me? Do you know? Was it online or?
I have no idea. My dad, he does a lot of like he's a very big like reader and like kind of like researcher, I guess. But he said he was just like on the internet and then he just like looked for like something that would like help me like thrive like academically and like building habits and like getting the routine. And then he just like told me about you and then yeah.
Got it. The power of technology. Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to be super candid here and you tell me if I'm off base. But when I think back to our first call, because you were so respectful and so polite, and you always are, but I also got the sense, that you were not the most excited to be doing the work of, learning how to learn, building skills, like all the stuff that we always talk about. So can you tell me a bit about that and also a bit about why like ultimately you decided to actually show up and like invest the time and energy into setting up your learning system and like doing all the things.
For one, I knew that I had to do good in school that year because it was like my last really like semester that actually mattered for applying to colleges because it was my first semester senior year. And so that was like on my mind and like I had that like pretty much just like that was I was like not just motivation but like I knew like okay, I need to like do good this year like if I like want a chance to like go to the school I like want to go to and it ended up working. So uh and another thing was I knew like what I was doing in the past wasn't great for me, and like I would get away with it, and I seemed like I was getting good results, but it was getting like I wasn't getting like bad results, but it was just like it wasn't like where like I knew I wanted to be, and I knew I could be at a higher level academically, and just like being organized and just getting the routine of just like getting all my stuff done and making things like neat for me to like view. Oh shit, sorry.
That's okay.
Just like doing all that stuff and scoping out like assignments and just having like that habit, I just know it's like gonna be really beneficial for me in life and just like all aspects. So it wasn't it didn't feel forced. It just like came out of like me like wanting to do it.
Yeah, and I like what you shared as far as like both in the like you were like in the immediate sense of I want to get the best grades I can get because of where I'm at right now in school. It counts. And then also
Hmm.
longer term, I want to level up, which
Yeah.
is awesome. Okay. Okay, so how would you, and you kind of just did describe it, but if you had to give like a one or two sentence description of the work we did, how would you describe it?
I would say accountability making me the accountability that came through you would make me like build habits and those habits ended up being like really helpful and like stayed with me and I'm like glad I have them now to continue like later on in life.
That's a really good description. And awesome to hear. Thank you for that. We're going to talk about your next chapter also in a couple minutes, but so let's talk about the actual work itself. All right. And guys,
Mhm.
for most of you watching this, especially if you're on the email list, you already know all this or you know a lot of it, but essentially we're talking about Milad learning how to manage and engage in his work, right? So like setting up the calendar, taking notes, learning how to study. I think the calendar was especially a big one, but like Milad, out of the different things that we did, what to you was like made the biggest difference for you and really felt like you moved the needle?
I think all things are really beneficial, but the one thing that stood out and really helped me a lot was time management. Because especially first semester when I was in football season, I had like limited amount of time, and it was like hard to like cram like stuff in. But I like made a schedule, I found out what worked, and like planned things ahead. That way, I was always like organized and like ahead of the game, and it really prepared me and like made me like good for school.
That's awesome. So when you say good for school, okay, so A, having stuff scoped and planned, and for those of you who don't know what scoping is, Milad, will you enlighten our viewers? What does scoping mean?
So like going through whatever like website or like calendar kind of thing your school like uses, like where it shows assignments and like due dates and like all that stuff. Just like taking a brief look at the assignment, when it's due, how long you think it would take, just plugging it into the calendar when you want to do it, how long do you think it is. That way you can like manage it with your other tasks and assignments. And it's just really good like time management, like organization skill. And it was like super helpful for me.
So, and you've just made me remember something that you shared a couple weeks ago specifically, because a lot of people, right, students too, but people resist using a calendar and they're like, I don't want to feel like locked in. I don't want to feel structured. I don't want to feel like I have
Yeah,
to.
I was one of those people too.
So yeah, tell us about that and
I
tell
still
us
like a
what,
little bit am, but like yeah,
but you've seen the light. Um,
yeah.
Yeah, so what, like, I think you were saying like that there was a specific day where it's like you had planned to do an hour of work, which you did, and then you went and hung out with your friends, and then you came back and did like another hour before dinner, and then you like chilled
Hmm.
for the weekend because you knew all your stuff was done. That was the
Yeah.
example you told me, but can you kind of elaborate like what, even if you don't love it right now, but you know it helps, or like you know if you want to succeed, that will be a tool that's helpful.
Hmm.
Was there any like when did
So
that shift happen for you?
yeah, so for like a few of my classes, the assignments are due Sunday night, and for a couple of assignments I didn't finish in class, so I obviously had to do in the weekend. And just like having that balance between like academics and social life, I just kind of like blended it together. So I just like did or what you said earlier, like first thing in the morning, I would do like a quick hour. Then after I'd hang out with my friends or like have free time until like 4 p.m. And then just like from 4 to 5 p.m. just getting another hour done. And then after that, it's like a Saturday night. I could do whatever I want. And just kind of like balancing it was like super helpful. And not just helpful, but like it just because it could be hard to like manage things and like procrastinate because you want to go out and do all these things, but just like finding time to like get it done, it was really great for me, and I'm glad I did it because if I didn't, then I'd probably be procrastinating and like ask my teachers for extensions and like be turning it late and like all that stuff.
Yeah, not fun. Not fun. So I love that we talked, actually, normally we talk about grades first sometimes, but I love in this case, it's like it was you didn't use the word freedom, but that's kind of what I was hearing of just like, I know it's off my plate. I know it's under control, da da da,
Yeah,
which is awesome. How did that translate to grades? Were you happy with how your grades changed or what happened with them?
yeah, no, for sure. I had my best semester yet, last semester, and it was it was during like a really busy time too. It's not like I just had like nothing going on. I was in sports, so it was very like time consuming, and I obviously like had like my friends and stuff, and like in my senior years, I like want to go out. So just like finding like time for like everything and like meshing it together and just kind of like keeping like on track of like when I'm gonna do things and organizing it. That was like the key to me like having success. I feel like.
That's awesome. And something you didn't mention, but you were also doing this little thing called applying to universities. Like,
Oh yeah, that's also more time.
that took
Yeah,
so much time. And I mean, guys, Milad is in the US. Like, it's supplements up the wazoo and like so many different requirements and whatever, which Milad managed
yeah.
beautifully. Um, and that actually brings me to another point because I think a lot of people, when it comes to school support, they think about tutoring. So they think about math or English and blah, blah, blah. And something when
Hmm.
it comes to like learning the skills that we're talking about, time management, whatever, it translates. Can you speak a bit about, or the extent to which, like your experience, but can you speak about how the school, like scoping and planning assignments, how did that help? To what extent did that help with like managing your applications and getting your stuff done?
Yeah, so like what you said about scoping, I pretty much do that with like every or we would do it for every single school. We have like the deadline, and we'll see like, okay, what's needed for each school, how much you need to write for this, how much you need to write for this one. Just like structuring it like an order of like what fits best. And once we did that, kind of like plugged it into, okay, we're gonna do Indiana this weekend and LMU this weekend, and then like just kind of like figuring out like the basics at first, and then kind of like putting the pieces in. That's just kind of like the time, like it goes back to like time organization skill I was talking about earlier. That was like pretty much like the main thing, and it was during like a super busy time, but I'm glad like the scoping all worked out, and yeah.
You're glad you did it and you're glad it's over. It's,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
So glad it's over. It was terrible.
Terrible,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a terrible
Hmm.
period. That's fine.
The
Um,
writing was good, but like just doing all the work was not fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, and that's something I actually want to kind of highlight and surface. First of all, anybody can learn how to learn. Anybody, it doesn't matter how long you've struggled or if you have learning differences or like whatever. It doesn't matter if you're a superstar athlete with a bunch of commitments, like anybody can learn how to learn. But something Milad did, and I think one of the reasons that he succeeded and that he's happy with what happened is because he actually showed up like a couple times a week for several weeks, like putting in the effort to actually build out the skill set, build out the structure. Skills don't build themselves. And so Milad, just like hats off to you because you actually did show up, even when I'm sure there were some Saturdays you would have rather been elsewhere, but you still showed up.
Yeah.
So yeah, kudos to you. So what was the, like, I obviously already know this because I did a huge happy dance when I found out. What was the outcome of your college applications?
The outcome?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got into my number one school that I want to go to, LMU, Loyola Marymount University, the really nice school in Los Angeles, and I'm just so excited right now. And as soon as I got in, I let you know, and you were excited for me, and it was just a big relief because I was so stressed during the whole kind of like college like admission process because obviously I've never been through it, and like before that I've only heard back from two schools and it was deferred and deferred. So like just hearing that the news I got into my favorite school, I was ecstatic.
Yeah, that's a huge one. Um, so what would you say, because that might be the answer right there, but as far as thinking about the work, that you did leading up to now, the fact that you're off. Oh, sorry. Will you share, Milad, what are you going to study at LMU?
I'm studying entrepreneurship.
That is, I
Like
feel so old. I
yeah.
love that that's a field of study. It's amazing. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I know. It's just kind of like a subdivision like business, but yeah.
Okay. So, what would you say? And I know we've talked about different things that were helpful, different things that you learned, but thinking about reflecting back on high school and then also looking ahead, right? In a few months, you're going to be starting college.
Yeah.
What do you think from, I talk about learning how to learn. You can call it time management, organization, lots of different skills, note taking, studying, whatever. What do you think was like, was there a number one thing that you think that you'll take forward? Maybe it's the time management you mentioned, but was there anything else that you feel was like really helpful in leveling up?
So I feel like obviously like everything we learn I'm applied to like my everyday basis, but the one thing is just planning ahead and just like being ahead of the game. Because if like for me in the past, like when I would take a step back, I would just like crumble pretty much, and it would be hard just like to get back in the position that I first was in. So just staying ahead of the game, and by that I mean scoping and planning, and it's not just like academic work, but like fitting in like, okay, what am I doing this week? Do I have time to do this assignment? This could take this long, so I'm gonna do it then. It's kind of like that whole process. And
Mhm.
then what was the other thing you said? Sorry.
No, just what you think, yeah, what was the most like
Did you
helpful
say
thing?
the second question or?
Did I? I'm gonna rewatch this recording
Maybe
and be like, yeah, you
maybe
did.
I'm like messing it. Never mind. But yeah,
That I love that. You said that. I love how simple that is, like getting and staying ahead of the game. which is awesome. Okay, so I have a follow-up question on that. And if you don't know, that's okay too. But like, do you
Mhm.
have any insights or like words of wisdom even for, because I think a lot of people would be like, yeah, I want to feel good. I want to feel smart. I want to get the grades. I want to feel organized. I want to have the free time I want, blah, blah, blah. But I'm not motivated. Like I don't think I need other things. I should be able to do it on my own, like these common
Mhm.
blockages, right? What are your thoughts on
Yeah. First of all, I was everything you described. I was, and still like a little bit, still like glimpses. I was exactly like that. Like, obviously, I like wanted to be this and like that, but like my habits, like academically, just like weren't good at all, and I never like really had that like drive inside of me. But just like trusting the process, and it would just kind of like naturally come to you. And like once you do it for like a week or two, you start like getting like the rhythm of it. And like once you're in that kind of like flow state, it becomes like engraved in your brain, and it's just like really beneficial to like not just academics, but just like everyday life. And it was super helpful.
Man, well, I love that because it sounds like from what you shared, step one is like, and I'm using these words, but tell me if I'm wrong. Step one is like examine and like get real honest with yourself with what you want.
Yeah.
Like if you think that, yeah, that would be nice, but I'm not willing to do
Mhm.
any work for it, so I will choose the status quo. That's very different than being like, it's time
Yeah.
and I do want change and blah, blah, blah. So there's a mindset piece to like being able to even like adopt the strategies. Like, do you think if we had met when you were in grade nine that this would that you would have been on board?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the second
Oh,
part. If
I'm
you met in
wondering
grade nine, what?
if we had met in grade nine, do you think that you would have been on board? Like, do you think that you would have had that mindset of
Oh yeah, for
investing
sure.
time?
Yeah. But I kind of wish I did meet you in grade nine. That would have been a lot more stressful of like a high school like thing, but it ended up all working out, so
It
not
did.
not complaining.
Also,
Yeah.
yeah, no, you surprised me. I thought you were gonna be like, hell no, grade nine me would not have wanted anything to do with this. But I love that you were like, yeah, hell's yeah, give me the tools early on and save me all of
Oh
the.
no, no, no. Grade nine me still like no, it wouldn't have. But I think if I had you during my freshman year, just high school after that would be like a lot easier for sure.
Oh, that's always good to hear. That's awesome. Milad, any other things maybe that I haven't asked about explicitly, but any other things that you think would be helpful for if there's a teen or even a parent of a teen, who's really struggling right now, in school? Anything
Um,
you'd like to say?
yeah, just like for me, I was like someone who's like busy with sports. I have like a busy kind of like social life, and I always have like some extracurriculars. And like academically, like my drive just like was never there. And everyone like wants to succeed, but like just depends on like the work you put in. Like, and I knew like the work I was putting in like wasn't enough. But like from like coming where I was to 2 years ago to now, just the difference in like the 3 months we had, it just really like structured me like differently. And I feel like that's the biggest thing, just the structure, just like getting it like inside your head. And it's something that I think for me, I think will like stay for me for a long, long time. So just like trusting the process, like going through like the stuff that you do together, and just, like the skills that you learn, it's like very beneficial, and it'll make a big difference for sure.
Well, and I'm just like, that's so music to my ears to hear. And also, I was gonna say bothering, I will be kindly reaching out next year to see how you're doing and maybe have a strategy check and all the rest of it. But I do know just based on how you did show up and how the rest of the year went, that you've got
Hmm.
this stuff and you can always go back to it and it's there for you, which is
Yeah.
amazing. And guys, I just want to again reiterate that what Milad is talking about is learning how to learn and building skills, and every single person has the capacity to do that, and it benefits everybody in
Hmm.
pretty significant ways. So Milad, I think I'll end it there. Thank you so much for your time. And for your insights. And I
Hmm.
truly cannot wait to like go back and rewatch this and just like share so much of this, like yell it from the rooftops because it's awesome and so helpful. So thank you, and
Yeah, for
everybody
sure.
else. Guys, we will catch you on our next interview, our next student story. Bye.